Why would any individual, why would any community organization get involved with the hotel workers? You know, this is a real fundamental struggle about power, the alignment of community, and it's a struggle to stay together.
I think clearly the message that's got to be sent and talked about, and the workers are the best messengers, is what conditions are they working in? What is their life like? What is the human condition of these employees, of these workers? And once you see where we're starting from, then you know where we got to go. And where we got to go is up. And so if you think it's just their struggle, then so be it. But when you realize these are the folks that live in our communities, and in my case, go to our community colleges or in the schools when I was on the Board of Education, we are all a part of the same family. That's the thing we got to get people to realize.
Good afternoon. My name is Daniel Sokach, and I'm the Executive Director of Progressive Jewish Alliance. And we are organizing Jewish community organizations to take their business away from these beautiful, gorgeous luxury hotels.
When I first started working on this campaign, and I was educated about the 2006 contract and learning more about it, I just kept thinking to myself, how am I ever going to pitch this to people? How are people ever going to understand this? People understand wages, they understand health benefits. How are they going to understand the 2006 contract? But people got it in a second. I mean, people understood that this was about holding the line for workers and that this was about an alternative vision for workers in the United States, and that this was really about addressing national poverty.
I come from a valley that was started back in the 40s and 50s. It's the suburbs of Los Angeles. People went there because they wanted a better life. But people forget that there's still a working class there that exists that doesn't have a voice. And so in trying to relate the message of HRA Unite, we were also trying to create our own avenues to be able to organize for other stuff. You know, the living wage ordinance, housing issues, you know, immigrant issues. There was other things that are going on in our communities that continue to be an issue. And this was just one of the many fights that we needed to unite and fight with the workers on.
Our members have honored the boycott and will continue to do so. Many of us have stood side by side with hotel workers in their struggle for justice.
Organizationally, it was important for the California Teachers Association to be involved, and 300,000 teachers were very excited to be part of this and to feel that they were a part of the community in which their students are learning.
It's well and good to talk about interfaith, Christians, Muslims, Jews. It's all well and good to talk in the abstract about their cooperation, to say that we all believe in ultimate truth, that we all have ideals of justice. But when you have gone with workers to assert their rights and dignity to the folks who have hired them, when you in still other cases get arrested together, it does create a solidarity. We've marched through Sinai together. We've crossed the Red Sea together. That's when the relationships are really forged. One campaign on an issue of common concern, in my experience, does more toward building interfaith and ecumenical understanding than 100 prayer breakfasts.
Hi, we'd like to take a minute to ask community leaders in the public who want to express their support, please come up. This wall was built by residents of Los Angeles who feel that hotel workers deserve respect and dignity. The fate of our community and the fate of the workers are bound together.
Throughout this whole thing, one thing that always resonated with me is to really show the workers that the community was behind them. That was very important, is to make sure that they knew that they were not in it alone, that there was really a community outside of their hotels that was organizing to get them more and more support, you know, political awareness, community awareness, and that the media picked up on the fact that the community was behind this effort.
The streets of LA earlier today. We're not doing a sit-in yet, right? But what we are trying to do is convey a message that we are all standing together with the workers to implore them to sign a fair contract.
People loved the delegations. I mean, this was the chance for them to say on their own, this is what we expect of you, and if you want our business, this is what you need to do.
I actually, over a period of a year plus, was involved in 4 different delegations to the Wilshire Grand. The first time I was a face in the crowd. By the 4th one, I was the leader of the delegation, and my face was well known to Mr. Stoddard. I could almost see him saying, "Oh no, not you again." The workers with respect, and they don't feel that way. There is a disconnect. Lately, I'll be honest, I feel charged up. I want to make sure I'm on message with what I have to say. I want to make sure that our delegation is on message, that each person has a sense of the role they'll play and what they'll say. These days, I'm not anxious about the interaction. I'm looking forward to it like I used to look forward to the starter's gun when I was a track runner in college. Once we get everybody together and get them prepped, I sort of feel like an athlete for the Lord, because I really do this out of my faith convictions.
When we were talking to a new general manager of the Century Plaza, and I mentioned that we were working with Jewish organizations to get them to move their events from the hotel. This was when the boycott had started, and we had already gotten a few organizations to move their events, and so I said, "Sir, you know, I just want you to know that we're working with organizations to move their events from your hotel," and he said, "Oh, we know." So that was an amazing moment for us, that we could actually see that, he knew that we had made him lose business.
Spend our money in a society that will not support the workers. Listen to the workers.
The minute we were on hotel property, word got out. And so you see them sometimes, that just blew me away. And I just to bring tears to my eyes, because I would see some of the women hiding behind their cart, you know, as they're doing their stuff, and they would see all these people in the lobby, you know, advocating for them. And then the bellboy would tell somebody else, and then you see them, you know, and they would pretend like they're just simply walking by. And then the word got out. And then, then it used to get back to us that the workers knew that a delegation was there. And so that, I think, really helped them form morale.
You bring this sense of wanting to change things, and you become involved, and change has occurred. That's not a very common occurrence. I've been working with causes, so to speak, my whole life, and this has been one of the most satisfying things I've ever done.
Pero nuestras voces son importantes, ¿no? Sí!
I know that I was motivated to join electoral politics, to get engaged as an elected official, as most of my peers were, by very strongly held moral beliefs. The danger once you're in here is getting removed from the daily life that drives those moral beliefs. And so I would encourage anybody who's an elected official to push themselves to think about what more they can be doing. How can we be more strategic nationally? How can we begin to link together different cities? How can we get these elected officials who do get it to talk to other elected officials to make sure that that manager knows that not only am I talking to him or her, I'm also talking to my colleague in Chicago, I'm talking to my colleague in Washington, D.C., I'm talking to my colleague in San Francisco. And they're going to bump up against the same thing there if they don't make some sense about the situation here.
Welcome to Banquet in the Street. We are honoring our guests tonight are the supporters of the community who have been supporting our boycott, and we appreciate that to the highest.
I thought that the Banquet in the Streets was one of LA's best parties, because everybody showed out. Everybody showed up dressed to the nines, and they're in front of the Century Plaza Hotel, and I'm sure every manager looked out there and did a head count and thought, These are a lot of organizations and a lot of money that's just being leached from us at this point.
We have around 50 within community, political, and religious leaders. We have organizations, big organizations that have helped us on the boycott already, that has already helped make the company lost around $20 million already.
The nicest thing for me as an elected official, there are so many elected officials that we're able to say, look, this is a public street. This is actually a street of the people. And we transformed it into that. And I think it made me giggle, it made me laugh, but it more importantly empowered me to take those final steps alongside the union until we got our victory.
Muy buenas tardes.
They had wonderful speakers, and I know that people who went, who called me after it, really felt that it took them another level in the union. That was one of the best actions that I have ever seen.
Shout out some of your names.
Office of the Americas!
Too many at once. Keep shouting though, people can hear you.
Eating together is a sacred activity. As a rabbi and as a Jew, let me say that it isn't kosher to treat one's employees without concern for their well-being.
This campaign had an amazing impact on Progressive Jewish Alliance because people became so invested in the campaign and became so invested in an organization that was able to provide them with opportunities to really stand in solidarity with these workers.
This hotel campaign is at the core of what the Progressive Jewish Alliance believes in. And in this holiday of Passover, we think that the most important thing we could do is eat out here in the street rather than eating inside with management.
There was a moment where I was standing with someone and she was observing the presence of the Jewish community at Banquet in the Streets, and she said, "Oh, it's the new Jewish Latino Alliance." And that was amazing.
Having people come together from across all walks to attend that banquet changed the face of progressive Los Angeles a little bit and brought us all together a little bit more.
Nuri Martinez, who has been really important in helping.
Your organizers, HRE and Unite, were very helpful in trying to empower the community in a sense that we also felt part of this movement. So we were all sort of connected. Whether I was working in a hotel or not, I felt that this was my fight as well. And we all did a very good job of gelling, for lack of a better term, and making sure that we were going to stay united through this whole effort, no matter what happened. And so whenever you call upon us again, we'll have, we haven't disintegrated. We're still continuing to meet, still continuing to address issues of the community, and whenever we're called to action, then that group is there.
When I need Unite HRE for anti-sweatshop ordinance legislation, they're there. When I need them to speak out against how much money is flowing out of this country into Iraq at the expense of anti-poverty policy, they're there. And that comes back to a much richer relationship, which is about transforming society. It isn't just about standing up for one contract. There's a context to any contract.
The people who came together in Los Angeles were unlikely allies. You had across income levels, across race, areas where there could have been tension. There were people who came together to make a stand that has been sustained.
We now have enough empirical experience to say, look, at this damn stuff works. And I think that's where people in other communities where maybe they haven't done it, or there's not as much going in terms of labor organizing, it doesn't matter. These things work because they all started here in other places where the first time if people are going, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but let's try it. We know the answer to that, whether it's going to work or not. It works.
También los miembros de la comunidad, los líderes de la comunidad, nos han dado un apoyo tremendísimo.
These are the leaders of our community committee that have led a much larger committee of over 100 people. We're really happy you're here.
Pleased to be here.